There you go.
Good morning. So, my name is Raelly, and I will be doing the external anatomy for this beautiful dogfish you have right in front of us. It's a sub-adult, and then Lacy is going to tag team with me. She's going to do all the internal anatomy. Okay, so right here we have claspers. It's these two appendages sticking out. If sharks have these, they're a boy. It's their boy parts. If they're missing, so we don't have them, it's just the pelvic fins, it's a female. And then the last really important fin is this guy right here. It's the caudal fin. This is how the shark basically moves forward. And sharks have to be moving forward at all times, or the majority of sharks have to be moving forward at all times in order to pump their blood and their heart and all that stuff. Okay, so we are going to talk about the skin real quick. If you pet the shark from head to tail, it's going to be really, really smooth, okay? But if you pet the shark from tail to head, it's going to be really rough. It's going to feel like sandpaper almost. And the bigger the shark, usually it's more rough. We have a couple images here. And these are scales of sharks, of different types of sharks, under a microscope. So this is the one we have right in front of us. This is spiny dogfish. It doesn't really look that sharp. Kind of looks like fish scales. But we get into the bigger species of sharks. So this is a great hammerhead. The scales are a lot more serrated. They kind of look like little knives sticking out. So it can cut you up really bad. This is from a tiger shark. So it kind of looks like spearheads. And basically it's smooth from head to tail, so that way the shark can move faster in water, so more hydrodynamic. We got a black nose, so it's still kind of serrated, looks like diamonds. This is a scallop hammerhead. And then we have our bull shark, so really serrated edges. Next thing we're going to talk about is, the mouth. So sharks have really cool teeth. First of all sharks are cartilaginous fish, so they're made out of what your nose and ears are made out of, so really soft, flimsy bone material. So whenever a shark decomposes, that basically disintegrates in the water, and the only thing that's left behind is their teeth. So their teeth is made out of dentin. It's the closest thing to bone that they have. And basically, whenever you're looking for sharks, you're not going to be looking for shark bones, ribs, and all that stuff. You're only going to be looking for their teeth. That's what's going to be remaining. So right here, we have is a replica of the jaw with actual teeth. So this is the replica of a bull shark jaw with its teeth. So on the top, we're going to have really serrated edges. So if you get a little closer, you can kind of see the edges on the sides. Really, really sharp, looks like little steak knives. And that's used to carve into the meat. So whenever a shark bites you, the top teeth are going to be carving into the meat. On the bottom though, we're going to have really pointy teeth. So that's going to be basically how the shark latches on while it's carving into its prey. They have lots of teeth, lots of rows of teeth, usually around 6 rows, so you can kind of see them going down. And whenever one tooth falls out, no one replaces it. So a shark can lose about 3 teeth on average every day. And over its lifespan, it can lose 30,000 to 36,000 teeth. So it's a lot. Fun fact, if you are looking for shark teeth, look for a black tooth. Usually these teeth get fossilized. So if you're out on the beach looking for white teeth, it's going to be really hard to find. If you look for the black teeth, you'll be able to spot them a lot easier. Let's see. Now let's talk about the eye real quick. So shark eyes are really cool. They kind of have the same properties as human eyes. So they have a cornea lens, pupils, irises, all that really cool stuff. But they have a bigger lens. So this lens basically helps them see a lot better in the darkness. Human eyes have their lens looks like little frisbees. A shark lens is going to be a whole sphere. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at the lens. So we're going to pull the film a little bit out. switch hands. So this is the lens of a shark. They are really big, a lot bigger than human lenses. So again, this just helps them see a lot better at dark. And they're super firm too. If you try to squeeze it, you won't be able to pop, so it's really firm. All right, so I think that's everything we usually cover with our external anatomy. Now we're gonna switch over to Lacy, and she's gonna talk all about the internal anatomy.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lacy. Now we're going to cut open this shark and talk a little bit about its internal anatomy. So that's going to be stomach, heart, brain, almost anything you can think of that's going to be found inside the shark. A little bit about how we cut this shark. So what we do is we create a book cut. So the book cut really just helps us to lay open the shark, which sounds kind of gross, but to lay open the shark and help us read it like a book. Just makes it super easy to look at everything without having to struggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the cloaca, which is the opening of the shark, all the way at the bottom where Raelly found out if this shark was a boy or a girl. And I'm going to put the dull end of my scissors inside of the shark and cut away from me, which is important. Always cut away from yourself. We are going to cut all the way up to the top. And remember to always angle up, because if we're not angling up, we could be damaging some organs. And if we damage those organs, we might not be able to recognize them. They're cutting through some cartilage right there. And get as close to the bottom jaw as we can. All right, so now we've made that first initial cut. And now we are going to create a capital letter I.
And guys, remember, if you have any questions for our educators while we're doing this, any questions about sharks or where these sharks come from, anything like that, feel free to post them while we're live or in the comments afterward, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Okay, last cut. All right, so we have now cut open our shark. So first things first, I'm going to talk about the biggest thing inside of this shark, which is going to be the liver. So sharks actually have a 3-lobed liver. It takes up the majority of space inside the shark. So the liver does all of the really cool things that our liver does, but unlike our liver, the liver of a shark aids in buoyancy. So buoyancy means to stay afloat in the water. My gloves are all oily now. That is because the liver creates something called squalene. Squalene is that oil that helps the shark stay afloat. So bony fishes, normal fish like catfish, are going to have something called a swim bladder that helps them stay afloat, which is essentially a sack full of air that they can blow up and essentially press down to go up and down in the water column. These sharks do not have that. They have the liver. So if you think about it, if you've ever taken a glass of water and tried to mix oil and water, the oil always flows at the top of that water. So you can imagine the shark is that oil and the water is the ocean. So it's a really good way to think of how a shark stays afloat. Also, people ask a lot why the liver is so big, like why can't it just be a normal size? That's because since sharks don't eat 24/7, eat 3 meals a day like we do, sharks can go months without eating, so it helps to be a food reserve. So if they go too long without eating, they can get some nutrients from that oil stored in their liver. So I'm going to try to cut out the liver the best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want you guys to be able to see the rest of what we have to talk about. All right, so here's the left lobe, the right lobe, and the median lobe, perfectly cut out. All right, so now we're going to talk about the stomachs of a shark. So I said stomachs, plural, so sharks technically kind of have 2 stomachs, or you can think of it as like a 2-parted stomach. But first, it's going to be from here to here. This is going to be the cardiac stomach. Cardiac because it is closest to the heart being right up in here. So this is where food first enters the stomach, and inside of this stomach there's something called rugae, which is a grass-like or stringy-looking muscle that helps to compress the food and move it down throughout the stomach to help in digestion. So once food moves through the cardiac stomach, it travels all the way down into the spiral valve, which is this right here. You can tell it's a spiral valve because it is very thin and papery and it has horizontal lines running across it. We have some things sticking out of the spiral valve, so there's probably something really interesting food-wise in here that the shark ate right before it died. So without further, we'll cut it out and then we'll cut it open and see what the shark ate. All right. Okay, we'll see. I'll cut open this part first so you guys can see the rugae that I was talking about.
I wish Facebook had smell-o-vision because it's quite
stinky.
aromatic.
All right, so a bunch of kind of mushed up food right here. It's not the loveliest, but this is all the rugae that I was talking about, that muscle that helps to move food down throughout the stomach and aids in digestion. So nothing too solid in the stomach. That's usually the case. So now we'll flip it around and open up the spiral valve, which is usually more difficult to open because the spiral valve, it gets its name from its many chambers that it has. The spiral valve slows down digestion. Like I said earlier, sharks don't know when they're going to get their next meal. So these chambers kind of look like a twisty slide or a spiral staircase. So it takes a really long time for food to completely digest and to get all the nutrients out of whatever they're trying to eat as possible. So they're full for a long time. All right, if I cut this well, you may be able to see those chambers really well. All right, so this right here is a part of a beak from a squid. So this guy ate a squid as one of its last meals, and this beak obviously did not digest because it's in the spiral valve and it's still hard as a rock. So really, really cool find. I have found half of a squid in one shark and the other half of a squid in another shark, which was really cool. So it's always really fun to open up the stomach and see what they eat. The rest of what's in here is kind of just mush at this point because it has been digested, but not to brag, but I did a decent job cutting open this stomach so you can see all of these chambers. It kind of is like a spiral staircase. It has many, many layers to it to aid in digestion. So yeah, that's the two-part stomach. So what we're going to look at next is the heart. What's really special about a shark's heart is that it is two-chambered and not four-chambered like our hearts. It has one atrium and one ventricle, whereas we have two of each. So it's actually super tiny. This is it right here. So one part of the shark and the other part of the heart, shark's heart. So it's really, really tiny. It does not have to pump as much oxygen throughout the whole body as our bodies do. That's why it's only a two-chambered heart. Let's see. Let's look at the brain. So this is usually the coolest part of the class, is a big surprise at the end when kids get to look at the brain and what makes a shark really. So we are going to start in the eye that Raelly cut open for us and cut through all of that cartilage to get to the brain. We're going to cut through the brain because there's kind of no way around it. The brains are super, super delicate. And this is just kind of the only way to successfully be able to even see a little bit of it. If you're squeamish, I wouldn't watch this. So we've cut through the brain. Here's one part of it, and here is another part. And these yellow, stringy looking parts, those are its olfactory nerves. So that is the nerves that lead to the nares or the nostrils. That helps the shark to sense in its sense of smell. So those olfactory nerves play a really huge part because the shark relies on its sense of smell as one of its main hunting abilities. A lot of people ask me why the shark's brain is so small. That is because sharks are, they don't have to learn how to be a shark. They are born knowing how to be a shark, knowing what to eat, knowing what to do to survive. They don't have to think about breathing because while they swim, water passes over their gills and it just does it for them. So if you think oppositely of that, we are born with huge brains. So we as humans have really huge brains in comparison to our bodies, and we have to learn how to be a person, essentially. We have to learn how to survive. And we're usually with our parents for a really, really, really long time. And compared to these guys, sharks have no parental care. So that's why their brains are so small. They're instinctual. They don't have to learn how to be a shark.
Can you talk a little bit about the lateral lines inside?
I can, yeah. So the lateral line is located on the side of the shark, and sometimes if you look really close, you can see it from the outside, so it would be right along here. But on the outside of the shark, you will have small pores that lead to a canal inside of its body. The canal inside of its body helps it to locate pressure changes throughout the water. So sharks don't only have this, other types of fish have this as well. So if you see a large school of fish and they're swimming with each other and they seem to be swimming in unison, that is because of the lateral line. They sense the water move and the pressure of that water change next to each other, so they can kind of swim at the same time. You can see it really, really well on the inside, so it's real dark right there. That is the lateral line canal on both sides of this shark. And another really cool sense on this shark is going to be the Ampullae of Lorenzini. So these are the kind of like blackheads located underneath the rostrum or the nose of the shark. Maybe we can see them really well. Yeah. So if you look really, really closely, there's some right there. It's the same concept. They are canals, and you squeeze them and jelly comes out. So the Ampullae of Lorenzini is an electrical sensory organ. So we all put out some type of electrical impulse into the world, and kind of like a heartbeat. So that's how a shark hunts animals that maybe are hiding underground or under the sand. So an animal that really uses this to its extent is going to be the great hammerhead shark. So obviously they have a huge head, and on that head they have many, many, many ampullae of Lorenzini. The main food source for a great hammerhead is going to be a stingray. And as we know, stingrays really like to hide underneath the sand. They'll lay down flat and they'll kind of shake until their body is covered in sand. So what the great hammerheads will do, will send out impulses with those ampullae of Lorenzini and detect out its heartbeat, essentially. It will find it, pin the stingray down with its head, and since its mouth is located underneath that big cephalofoil, it will take a bite, and it's as easy as that. They're really, really good hunters with the ampullae of Lorenzini. Do you have any questions coming?
I haven't got any so far.
Okay. Anything else I should talk about?
I think that's probably about it.
I think that's it too. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live video and a little snippet into our live videos, and hope you have a great day.
Yes, and be sure to tune in for our next one. If you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to post them in the comments. We'll get back to you. If you have any suggestions for something else that you'd like to see that you know that we do, let us know. We might be able to make a live video just for you or your class. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.